So in this video, we're gonna talk about how you can achieve your FIRE savings rate coming up. Welcome to the Journey of Finance. My name is Cedric, and here on this channel, we talk about how to achieve financial independence and also how to retire early if that's something that you're into. Now, I'm also sharing my journey on the road to FI as well. So if that is something that you're interested in and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell for more videos on how to achieve FI. Also, if at any point in this video you find value, make sure you hit that like button because it'll definitely help the channel out and we can all grow this community together and level up. So I've got a couple of different interesting statistics on saving, at least in America, and I'm pretty sure it's very similar to other countries around the world, but I found these very alarming and I want to share this with you. So according to federalreserve.gov, 4 in 10 people can't cover an unexpected expense of $400 with cash. And these were people that were surveyed in November 2020. The other 60% of the people who said that they could cover the $400 expense would be able to do so through either paying all cash, savings, or using a credit card and paying it off over time. 12% of all adults surveyed said that they would not be able to pay for it by any means. If these stats don't alarm you about the saving patterns of Americans, then I don't know what will. So there's obviously a very strong need for savings. Now, most people in America actually live paycheck to paycheck, and contrary to what most people would assume, it's not just the lower income earners that are living paycheck to paycheck, but also many people who are earning a lot of money and those that are considered the higher income earners of societies. They make a good amount of money, but they also suffer from lifestyle creep, meaning their expenses as they started to make more money also crept up. They got bigger houses, more expensive cars, not to mention they still have a bunch of student loan debt. A lot of people are just struggling to get by every month, or they have just enough to make it until the next paycheck. There is a problem that we have in terms of being able to save money. For a lot of people, it is an economic issue to where it is extremely difficult for them to save money, and I give a lot of people that, but then there are a lot of people who just don't have the discipline or the knowledge about how to save, where to save, and why they should save. Most of us know the value of saving and we know that we should be saving, but for some reason, most Americans are not good with doing it. And this is a big problem, as you can see by those stats, because if something were to come up, say an emergency or an expense that you need to pay for, how are you gonna do it? Most people end up using credit or taking out a loan to cover these sorts of expenses. And this is not good because this only magnifies the problem. Not only are they getting into debt, but they are also paying interest on the debt that they're taking out. And then they're taking on a burden that they have to pay back month after month. And a lot of people aren't even able to pay that back. So as we can see, we have a big problem with saving, especially in America. And I want to talk about one of the solutions to this problem, and that is to determine a savings rate, which is a percentage of your income that you set aside every single time you get paid, whether it's monthly, bi-weekly, and you set it aside to put it towards savings. And when I use the word savings, it can also mean your investments. Now, before we get into talking about how to determine your savings rate, one thing that we need to stress the importance of is not only is it vital for you to save money and to accumulate money, but you need to know why you're saving and where you're saving to. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that in this video as well, because if you are putting all of your money into a savings account and you're putting all your energy to accumulating that, but you're getting 0.01% interest on it, you're essentially losing money to inflation. It's just as important to know which instruments or avenues of savings are appropriate for your situation and what you want to do versus just blindly saving in a savings account because that's something that you were told that you needed to do. So why is having a savings rate important? Well, for starters, it helps you to create a saving strategy. It helps you, especially if you're someone who doesn't have the habit of saving or you're not consistent with it, it helps you to pick a number or a percentage of your income that you're going to set aside every month, and no matter what happens, that's gonna go out first. It also helps you to focus on paying yourself first. Now, we're so used to paying everyone else and whatever we have left over, then it's like, okay, maybe we'll save this or maybe we'll spend it. But if you determine a savings rate and you know what percentage that you're gonna save every single month, you can, as a matter of fact, in your budget, put that as the first thing. Before you pay anyone else, you can pay yourself that savings percentage. So it helps you to pay yourself first. And not only that, but it helps you to be consistent and disciplined with it. It keeps you accountable because now that you have determined a percentage that you're going to set aside every month, you have a number that you're accountable to, and you gotta make sure that you do it every single month. Now, there are different reasons why one might want to determine a savings rate, but there are two main reasons that I'll focus on in this video. And the first reason would be for just short-term type of savings. So this can include you funding your emergency fund or cash reserves. You can also have maybe a short-term savings account for maybe a computer upgrade. If you know that you need to upgrade your computer eventually, like for example, myself, I plan on upgrading my computer next month. So about 2-3 months ago, I started putting money aside just for that. So by the time next month hits, I'll have the money to be able to purchase that. That's a short-term type of savings. The second reason why you would want to have a savings rate is so that you can save or put your money into investments such as cryptocurrency, if you have a crypto portfolio, or if you're into stocks, or you have a retirement account. Now, this is gonna be the main focus of what's gonna help you to achieve FIRE is through your investments and your investment strategy. So how do you determine your savings rate? All right, so it's super simple. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Basically, it's just determining a percentage that you are able or that you want to save every single paycheck and just sticking to that. Now, 5 to 10% is usually around what the average person saves, if they do save, but you're not average. You want to achieve FIRE. You probably want to go for a higher savings rate, but I'm not here to tell you what that rate should be. Obviously, the higher the savings rate, the better, because the more you could put towards your investments. But that is something that is really just relative to your situation and your goals and what you're able to set aside. Now, you'll see a lot of people when they're talking about their savings rate, sometimes you'll see people saying they're saving 50% of their income or 60% of their income. And you're probably thinking, how in the world are they able to do that? I'm not able to do that. Well, if you're not able to do that, that's okay. Just do the best you can. If it's 25%, if 10% is all that you can do, then definitely start with that. But if depending on how much you're able to save with that 10%, if you feel like it's really not enough to achieve your FIRE number, then I do encourage you to find ways to increase your income or to cut back expenses, or better yet, both, to be able to up your savings rate so that your money can go to work even more. So that is something that you're gonna have to determine, but that is essentially it, just determining how much you're able to save. Now, that works for probably most people, but there are a handful of people, including myself, who we don't have consistent income because I'm a business owner and I'm also a freelancer. So I do different gigs and I get different payments throughout the month. And so the way I determine a savings rate is a little different. So you might be in a similar situation. So let me give you maybe a little pointer on how you can determine your savings rate. So basically, when you take your budget and you calculate all the expenses that are gonna go out, whatever is left over from your income after expenses are paid, what you can do is determine a certain percentage of that you're gonna pay every month. Let's just say, since your income fluctuates, if this month you have $1,000 left over and you determined a savings rate of 50% of whatever you have left over, then you'll have $500 that you'll be able to save from this current month. Next month, let's just say you have $2,000 left over, then 50% of that is $1,000 and you can save that. Now, that is one way that you'll be able to have some sense of consistency or a guideline in terms of how you're gonna save. But if you're like me, I'm extremely aggressive. So basically what I do, anything that is left over after all my expenses are paid or accounted for, and I have, you know, a small pool of money for me to just spend throughout the month, everything outside of that is gonna go to my investments. Depending on the month, that can be anywhere from 50% of what I got paid that month to 90%. So it really just depends. So once you determine your savings rate, now it's time to figure out how you want to deploy your savings. So one of the first things that you want to do is to make sure that you have some cash reserves built up. You can also call this your emergency fund. And traditionally, what most people do is because they want to stay liquid or they want to have quick access to their emergency fund in case something happens, they'll keep it in their savings account. But you can also park it in other places as long as you can have quick access to it and you're able to withdraw the money within a day or two. I think that's also fine, but that's really up to you. And I can give you an idea of what I'm starting to do with my emergency fund, but you definitely want to start off with at least $1,000. As you could tell from the statistics earlier in this video, you want to be in that small percentile of people who's able to cover at least $1,000 expense. And if you could do more, even better. General rule of thumb is you want to build it up to a point where you have 3 to 6 months of emergency savings to get you through a rainy day or season. And if you are at the point of firing and retiring early, you might want to extend that out to have a greater degree of funds to get you through a 1 to 2 year period where the market is down. Another place to deploy your savings, and this is more short-term strategies like I mentioned, will be for short-term savings. If you want to save up for a down payment on a home, you can definitely apply your savings rate to do that. Or if you need to fix your roof on a house that you own, whatever the case is, you can set aside certain savings for that as well. But then ultimately, where you want to end up and put most of your savings rate energy into is into your investments. And of course, the traditional stock markets stands the test of time. It's going to do what the stock market does. So you can definitely put your money into your index funds or your individual stocks, or you can also create a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA, if that makes more sense for you actually. You have tons of options in the traditional stock market, or you can go the more revolutionary route and you could put your savings into cryptocurrency and you can buy some Bitcoin and maybe some of the bigger cap altcoins. I'm not big on speculating, so I'm not really huge on putting money into some of these smaller cap altcoins, at least for my serious investments. If I want to have some gamble money on the side and just play some bets in a sense, then yeah, that's a little different. But you could do that, or you can do a combination of both. The point is, with your savings rate, as you're on your journey to achieve your FIRE number, this percentage is going to help you to achieve that through whatever instrument or whatever investments that you choose. The point is that you need to do it because most Americans are not doing it, and you don't want to be in that majority. You want to be in the minority that is heading towards financial freedom and that is putting your money to work. That is the most important thing. So start saving now. If you feel like that you can't, or feel like your income is limited, find ways that you can cut back on expenses if possible, or increase your income. That way you're able to start even with the small savings rate and increase your savings rate over time. Remember, we have the big picture of achieving financial independence and retiring early. So make sure that you save and make sure that you're putting your money to work. All right, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you got some value out of this. And if you did, again, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already, and also subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so as well. I upload videos every single week on personal finance and how to achieve financial independence. And I want to hear from you when it comes to your savings rate and your savings strategy. Let me know in the comments what it is you do and what your savings rate percentage is, or how you approach savings. I'd like to hear your thoughts, and I want to see how other people are doing it as well. All right, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.